Well, good morning, everyone. It is indeed a privilege for me to come into the second year of the GASS Summit here in Singapore. And Minister Tan, really a pleasure to have you join us again. And if you recall, the last time when we met, there was probably less than half this crowd in this room. And I believe the numbers are somewhere around 1,400 with both the online and physical presence here. So again, real privilege to have all of you here. It is an important topic, which is clear from your commitment to this forum. And SMS Tan has again, graced us with the occasion and his presence. And I know this is not just a one-time event. The engagement that we've had with you throughout the year is very, very critical and important. If we look at, Rajat, you presented the numbers. The numbers are huge. Whether it's $1 trillion or something else, the reality is it's an impact that is happening across societies, across economies. And I believe that there are initiatives that are needed on policy, on consumer education, and technology. Today, I believe we're going to focus a lot more on the technology front because we can make faster progress with tech, while policy and consumer awareness, critical components in the mix, and those things will take repeated engagement over longer periods of time, and hopefully tech can come in a much faster and critical manner. With that, I want to stress a little bit, while we talk of tech and what tech can do to combat fraud and combat scams, I'm sure the scamsters are meeting in some sort of forum on the dark web, having similar discussions and using the same tech that we believe is going to help us combat these challenges. We've seen the implications of AI and the issues around deep fakes, issues around social engineering fraud, which is rampant across societies, no matter how sophisticated, literate, or still coming up the curve societies might be. It's kind of pervasive just across the board. So, Minister, I'm going to welcome you to open up with some opening thoughts, and then we'll get into a discussion.
Firstly, thank you, Ari, for inviting me to grace this occasion again. It's always my pleasure and honor to come by, and very happy to see many participants here this morning, both physically here in the room as well as friends online. The growing participation in this summit just reflects the issue that we are faced with. Scam is not just a local issue, it's a global issue, and the one that affects all of us. And regardless of which country you are in, which community you are in, it's an issue that is growing and of grave concern. And this trend is accelerated by technology, AI, the use of crypto wallets for illicit fund transfers, means that we are facing with a more sophisticated, more complex threat actors, and that we are dealing with tactics, strategies, and MO that's changing very fast. So what does it mean for us, the good guys? So I always like to joke that all of us here are part of the Justice League. We are all the good guys, right? And I'm glad that the Justice League, the network of good people, the defenders, the scam busters, is growing. And this is encouraging and heartening for me. And I'm very happy to note that actually all of us are on the same page when we think about these issues. In fact, it was such a same frame of mind that we coordinated our clothes today, both in the same attire. But it is a serious issue. And as all of us coming together as scam busters, the good guys, the Justice League, our most important weapon, our secret power, is really just one thing, and that is the sense of partnership and collaboration. Coming together, working together, whether we are from law enforcement, you are regulators, you are from a financial sector, you are a technology company, you are a community partner. The most important power that we have is the power of partnership and collaboration. And it's something that can't be easily replicated by the bad actors. So that's the first point. Secondly, actually from last year to now, I'm very glad that the spirit of collaboration is very strong. I was looking at some of the initiatives by our partners over the last 1 year. For example, the Singapore Government Technology Agency, GovTech, is committing to join committing to exchange scam signals in real time by joining the Global Signal Exchange, a real-time database. So GovTech, our government agency, is joining the exchange. Secondly, Google.org, Google's philanthropic arm, is providing US $5 million in funding to the ASEAN Foundation to expand online scam prevention resources to 3 million people across Southeast Asia. And third, a new report on building resilience against digitally enabled scam and fraud in Southeast Asia is being released today by the Tech for Good Institute in partnership with Bamboo Builders. And fourth, an immersive web game will be launched as part of the ScamWise National Education Program by Bamboo Builders to further awareness and education on scams to the public here in Singapore. And finally, to strengthen our regional effort, I understand GASA has formally set up new chapters in Indonesia and Philippines. And we note that the new chairs are here with us today from Indosat and Globe Telecoms. Please give them a round of applause. And I'm sure more details of these efforts and many more efforts will be shared over the next 2 days. But I give a flavor of how we are coming together from across the entire spectrum of agencies, organizations, partners involved in this. And the initiatives that are coming out span the whole spectrum of intel threat signal sharing to all the way to local community efforts. And this is heartening, and this is the reason why I'm encouraged that we are making progress against the fight against scams.
Thank you, Minister. I want to pick a little bit. I completely, and this is an important point that you've made, this theme of collaboration and partnership. In an increasingly digitally connected world, and we all know, we come from this industry, you're only as good as your weakest link. And therefore, if we can build this resilience through partnership, collaboration, standardization of rules, policies, technology standards, I think all of that will ensure that we minimize those weakest links that we end up, which creates challenges, because fraud will move from one part of the world to another part in a matter of seconds as we integrate more tightly. The question I have is, we're doing whatever we are doing today, and I know that we will discuss through the course of the next 2 days, how do we accelerate the pace of what we are doing? Now, what do you think is the societal impact that if we are not able to get our grip on this challenge, and every year we're seeing the numbers are only rising despite our efforts, what's the impact economically, overall society and institutional damage that if we are not really doubling down on this problem in a significant way?
I think the fundamental threat to our system is really the erosion of trust. And trust is the coin of the realm. Whether you are in a financial system or in society or between government and people, fundamentally our society works. And countries, trade between countries work because of trust. And I worry because the scams are targeting various kinds of scams, whether it's impersonation of government officials, investment scams, or different kind of MO. It targets human frailties, but fundamentally erodes trust in our system. And this is going to be quite insidious because end of the day, who are the people being affected? Oftentimes, these are individuals and families or communities who are trying to improve their lot in life, trying to work hard, trying to save, try to invest to provide a better life for their families, better lives for their communities, and try to do so by picking up digital skills, by participating in the digital economy as more lives are going online, and by targeting them and the institutions that they impersonate. I think it fundamentally compromises trust. What it means is that it will slow down the pace of digitalization, the pace of communities and individuals getting on a digital bandwagon, and fundamentally hold back progress in society and economies around the world. And that has a significant opportunity cost on all of us. That's the first thing. And second, I will add is that actually the countries work because of strong institutions, whether government institutions like police, law enforcement, or in terms of financial systems, the banks, the payment rails. We don't think deeply, and most of us see it's a black box when we do transactions or when we receive a notification from an authority and we act on it. And by eroding that trust in institutions, I think that it really fundamentally also holds back many of the progress we see in economies and societies around the world. So I would say the biggest impact is trust, and I think that's what I worry about.
It's a great point, Minister. I think the element of trust is so critical, but we also understand that there are competing forces at work, and therefore the paradigm of trust is getting challenged at various levels. There's obviously different rules, different policies that different governments have. There is different data privacy laws in different parts of the world, and there's challenges with respect to access to critical data that might be needed in order to drive for a more secure environment. I really believe that in an audience of this nature, which has broad representation, they are the ones who can actually take this message out there, which leads to better harmonization of rules, better sharing of intelligence, better sharing of what is defined as PII type information, and at least in the realm of fraud and scams and safety and security, would all make for a more resilient environment for our businesses, consumers, and institutions to operate in. Minister, if I may ask you some, I know we discuss a lot of things in a number of conferences which we talk about how the world should look like 10 years from now, but let's create more. Rajat, I'm looking at you as well on this. What do we need to do? And Minister is going to give us some guidance that in the next 12 to 18 months, what does success look like in your mind? And what do we need to actually achieve in a tighter time horizon, if there was one?
Well, Rajat and George and the team have been working very hard over the last 12 months, so must give them credit. Please give them a round of applause. They're working very hard, non-stop. Rajat says he's looked more handsome, but certainly lost some weight from all the stress and hard work. So I don't mean to add to your stress and the work plan and the workload that you have. But if I have a wish list,
yes,
and areas which I think that all of us can work on together, I think a few things that we can think about. First is to enlarge this network of partners. We have set up chapters in Philippines, Indonesia. We should bring more of our regional friends and partners into this network. Scam is one of the most globalized activity in the world. You think about supply chains, and you think about globalized trade. Actually, scams and the syndicates behind those scams are probably the most globalized and international. And it's because of this, it's so hard to really pin them down and deal with the issues. So by enlarging our network, bringing more partners, more government agencies, more law enforcement organizations, more community partners, more governments, more tech companies, more countries involved in this, will strengthen the network. It's a network effect. That's the first thing. So enlarge it, grow the network, collaborate more, and have more partnerships. The second is to leverage technology. We are looking at the trends of AI and how AI is changing the face of almost every sector, every industry, and every activity in our digital world. Likewise, the bad actors are using technology too. AI is making deepfakes more realistic, using AI to generate very realistic sounding phishing emails, and the use of crypto wallets, making fund transfers much faster and harder to track and harder to remediate. So we have to use technology too. And we have to use technology in a meaningful way, thoughtfully, and how to pick up the pace of innovation around fraud detection, threat analysis, intel sharing, and use technology to fight against technology. So that's the second thing, because we need to work at the clock speed of the bad actors. The third, I would say, is that it's not just about the numbers of huge numbers, US $1 trillion, using technology and bringing partners in, but having the humanity and the compassion to understand and to appreciate behind every number, every scam case is a victim, is a family that has been affected, and lives that are being impacted. So how do we bring in the compassion and humanity behind it to care for the victims? And that's where localized support networks will be important to care for our victims. Crime will happen, scams will happen. We'll try our best to prevent it, but we will never be 100%. And when things happen, it's how do you care for the individuals and families and communities who are affected. And that requires local support as well. Yeah. Local care victim support, bring partners in to journey with the victims. And how do we share best practices across our network so that we can learn from one another? What works to one country, one jurisdiction, one community can be adapted for others. So I would say there are three things that we can think about: scaling our network, using technology, but bringing partners in so that we can care for the victim and journey with them.
No, thank you, Minister. This is really important guidance to all of us. I do want to also recognize the industry. You know, over the years, the levels of investment, technological innovation, I can talk a little bit on MasterCard. You know, we spent over $10 billion in the last many years in terms of fighting scams and frauds, and a lot of it is technology-heavy investments that's gone in. And the point around sharing of threat intelligence and how do we do it, if you think hard about it, till something's a threat, it's not a scam yet. So if we can address issues at the threat level, I think society will be better served. And I did stress that the technology has a very large role in what we will need to do to solve. However, we cannot underestimate both policy and the consumer education part. My advice to everyone, and I say this even to my own family, if something is too good to be true, it possibly is too good to be true. So you don't want to find out that, having to go through a bad experience. And I think that's a place where our continued partnership with you and the levels of engagement with law enforcement agencies under your sponsorship here in Singapore, I think we're making some great progress. I've seen a number of signages across Singapore which actually highlights people and creates greater consumer awareness. And that, I really have to sincerely thank you, SMS Tan. I think this is a broad engagement that we need across industry, governments, law enforcement agencies, technology partners, and therefore we'll be able to combat what still remains a little bit of a cancer that we haven't found a cure for.
There will always be scams and crime. Human society has been around for more than 2,000 years, and there will always be crime and scams, and there will always be human frailties, greed, fear, many other frailties that we have. This is part of being human and being part of human society. But at the same time, we don't have to feel that we have no agency. There always will be bad actors, but if every bad actor, there are so good people like all of us here in the room and part of this whole network fighting against the crime, fighting against some of these bad things that is happening. And it's about that collaboration and partnership that comes together. At the end of the day, it's a global commons for us. Digital economy being digitalized is a global commons. And it's all of us in our self-interest to protect these global commons, whether you're from industry player, you're a financial institution, you're law enforcement, you're community partners or individual family members that we care about our loved ones. It's a global common. And by working together, we protect it. And lastly, I agree with you. I think all of us can be scammed. And unfortunately, those of us who think we know more get scammed the most. So that's a human frailty as well. And I think by working together, raising public awareness, and having this network is a real asset in our fight against scam.
Thank you, SMS Tan, for your patronage of GASA and your engagement. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, SMS Tan, and thank you, Ari. If I can invite you to please remain on stage. I'll now also like to invite our Managing Director of GASA, George, to join us back on stage, together with the chairs of Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, Oceania, to please kindly join us on stage. Also, we'd like to invite a representative from our sponsors, Amazon, Google, Feet AI, MasterCard, Gen Digital, Meta, Trend Micro, and Gogo Look to please also join us on stage for a photograph, please. Can we welcome them on stage, please, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Can we have some of our members over on this side, please? Thank you. So we'd first like to have a photograph taken to remember this very special summit, the Global Anti-Scam Summit 2025. Let us now take a photograph. We take a formal shot first. Smile, look forward please. Thank you, please hold it there. Smile, thank you. One more, keep it there. Can we have a thumbs up shot as well from our audience members? Thank you. Thank you. Please remain, ladies and gentlemen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we of course like to say a big thank you to our patron. Well, of course, and we'd like to have him. Oh, he's going to take a Wi-Fi. Okay, great. Let's have SMS Tan. Can we all join in on stage for the Wi-Fi? So everybody behind as well, if you can, just look bright, smile, adjust your hair a little bit. All right, if you may be in the shot. 3, 2, 1, smile. Smile. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we'd like to present SMS with a little token. So I'd like to share a bit more about the background of this token. So we'd first like to invite Rajat to present this gold coin to SMS Tan. So this gold coin has a history behind it. So this is a GASA challenge coin. So the history is that in World War II, well, American captain gave a gold coin to each of his soldiers fighting behind the trenches in Nazi Germany. So this is to signify and to thank SMS for being part of the battle against global scams. So this is a challenge coin presented from the GASA Singapore chair to our patron, SMS Tan Kiat Hao. Thank you very much, SMS. And also, GASA started out as an organization from the Netherlands. So now, of course, George would like to present a wheel of cheese from the Netherlands to SMS Tan. How about a big round of applause, everyone? So a very special cheese flew in all the way from the Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to say a big thank you to our patron, SMS Tan Kiat Hao. Thank you.